On the one hand, for the future, the Irvine Fertility scandal is a brilliant film. On the other, I remember that it's a true story and it's a very difficult watch. This was released in 1996. It's directed by David Hugh Jones. It's written by Stephanie Liss, and we have a cast including Marilu Henner, Randle Mell, and various others. And it's because of Marilu Henner that I became aware of this, but it's my kind of film. I absolutely would have wanted to watch this if I'd discovered it randomly. And I don't want to go into too much detail in case you're not aware of the true story. I certainly hadn't heard of this, so I don't want to give away too much. But very basically, in the most basic way, it's about a fertility scandal. It's about people who went to this doctor at the Irvine University, and some very shady things were happening surrounding fertility. And I could maybe go into a bit more detail, but I went into it with no knowledge, and I think for me that worked well. But if you do want to know a little bit more, obviously there is information online, and it's just heartbreaking. The emotion that pours out of this film, particularly from the character of Debbie, played by Marilu Henner, who was one of the victims of this, is just absolutely, it's devastating, but it's so powerful. So it's a very captivating film, but it is very difficult to watch. I think the narrative structure is very effective. I think the story is told in a very engaging way. And I don't know how factually accurate it is. We are told at the beginning that some things have been added for the sake of storytelling, which is absolutely fair enough. But I'm assuming, in general, the basic concept is accurate. I did a little bit of reading around it, but nothing too extensive. And it is a very fascinating, heartbreaking story. And it's just disgusting that people could behave like this. And in general, it's a moving, powerful, emotional experience. We have some courtroom scenes, which I absolutely loved. And I think the opening scene was a courtroom scene, which was a very good way to start it off for me, because I very much like courtroom dramas. And then we have obviously other locations, other scenes to make it a well written, well fleshed out narrative. And it is, as I said, on the one hand, a very enjoyable, gripping, intense experience, and on the other, a very challenging, heartbreaking watch. They managed to get the balance right of making it interesting and fascinating and certainly a really compelling watch, while also making it very clear that these are real people's stories. And making sure that the emotion of the characters was always right at the surface, and it was very easy as a viewer to feel those emotions. The performances across the board were great. Marilu Henner was fabulous, and I have no complaints about it. I thought it was a very strong film, and while on the one hand I thoroughly enjoyed it and definitely recommend it, I wish it didn't exist at the same time, because the true story should never have happened. So it is worth watching if it sounds like your kind of film. It is quite heavy. It does get emotional, but it's a well-written narrative that is based on an absolutely horrendous situation. And as I said, if you do want to know a little bit more before watching it, there is some information online. But if you don't want to know anything else, then I won't say anything else other than this is a very strong film, and ultimately, for the future, the Irvine fertility scandal is certainly one that I'm happy to recommend if it sounds like a film for you.